They began in Babylon, conquered Babylon, went over to Sumeria, conquered Sumeria, went to Egypt. So each one of these are the same people. So if we're understanding these are the same families coming through. From Egypt, they went on to and created the Roman Empire. So when I'm talking about when someone says the Third Reich or the Fourth Reich, it's actually 10th, 11th, 12th. So these are the same beings that have done that. And pre-Atlantean times. So, Second World War was key to understanding to have the complete understanding of how to create a mind-controlled slave. Now, if you go back and look at the Egyptian Book of the Dead, there are actually instructions within that book, and that's a book anyone can pick up from any bookstore. It explains how to do that. But the sort of like the modern Nazis, perfected it. They perfected it. And I think that they got the information of how to perfect and shatter the human mind from the tall greys or the zeta greys. There are two forms of greys. There are the short greys that seem to me to be lackeys. They seem to do what they're told. And then there's the taller ones, sort of more gangly looking, which are like this tall. They're also lackeys, but they seem to have superiority over the smaller ones. So this is all in a hierarchy structure. Everything is done hierarchically because that is that's the mindset of these particular beings. So from how I understand it, this present state that we're in, you have the Anunnaki consciousness, stream of consciousness that is pretty much in control of this planet at the moment. What they've tried to do is make us think that the planet Earth itself is not that important, that we're just some rock somewhere with evolving beings on it, and but that this is the only place, and that nothing, when in fact Gaia or Earth is the jewel in the crown. It's the actual jewel, the most important thing, and everything actually is revolving around and focused on this. Earth is actually anchoring everything else down from ascending. This planet is anchoring it down. So that's why all eyes are on this planet at the moment, because when we release it, when the human beings here release it, it releases everybody else. So they're watching for that to happen. I wanted to go a little bit into, which is what I know about because I've had to study a lot, into mind control in general and how it's done and what happens with that. For these specific bloodlines and these breeding bloodlines, they have to take a child before the age of 3. So to shatter and honeycomb the mind, the children have to be put into extreme trauma. So any way that you can extremely traumatize a child before the age of 3, electric shock, rape, extreme physical abuse, any torture like that. What will happen when they were testing out the breaking points of human beings at Tavistock? The Tavistock Institute originally was set up to work out the breaking point of human beings. So that once the human being breaks, it shatters at the top of the spine here, it shatters that and sort of honeycombs into many other possibilities for personalities. Because the body doesn't want to go, or the mind and the soul doesn't want to go through that trauma, so it separates itself off. And so what they had, the Nazi doctors, Mengele and Himmler and the SS crew had worked out, and they'd got information from the Zeta of exactly how to do it, exactly how to program it. So then once the mind is shattered, then you can then, in each of the honeycombs, which would be another personality or another alter, can be specifically programmed and to anything that you want it to be. None of the other personalities are aware of the other ones. So you could have somebody with so it's called MPD, multiple personality disorder, but more recently it's known as dissociative identity disorder, because it's not another personality really, it's another version of the identity of the person. So it's not another personality. The primary personality is the front personality, which is all of us communicating to each other now. That's the front alter personality. Is not aware of, if that had happened to you, is not aware of any of the other ones. Now, the programmers themselves have ways of using color, tone, hand signals, frequencies to be able to switch to another one, to another personality through, so like I said, with the honeycomb is there, and switch to another one. So there could be one personality, which is the front one, that didn't have any abilities whatsoever to ride a motorcycle, to shoot, to be a sniper, to do any of these things, but another one, if it's then activated, is then completely able to do it and has all these abilities. So you can, that way was the way to be able to create an undetectable mind-controlled slave, because the other personalities are not aware of the other ones. The key of, okay, so I mean, I didn't really want to get too graphic with it, because some of it is really hard to talk about, and so sodomy is one of the main keys to doing it, because what happens is when you rape a child before the age of 3, what happens is it sends electrical signals up the spine, which then explode at the top of the spine, and then that's the easiest and fastest way to create multiple alters. It's called vasovagal shock, and they also call it in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, it's known as the Key of Solomon. So that's another way of putting it. I'm just trying to lead on from that. Mengele was at the head of doing that. He was the one who was the head of the main scientist for doing that and understanding and learning it. There's a lot of, I don't know if everybody knows who Michael Aquino is. He is directly connected as well to that. A lot of the people in positions of power now, certainly all the Bush family, which are actually the Bauer family, which are actually German Nazi family. So when you had Project Paperclip, I don't know if you know what that is, but Project Paperclip was when at the end of the so essentially we didn't win the Second World War as it says in the textbooks. What actually happened is that they went underground and then made it appear that they had lost, so that they could go underground, continue with the work through Project Paperclip. They took all of their top scientists, military strategists, and placed them in South America and North America. In 1947. 1947 seems to be a major key date for them, because so you have the Roswell incident happening then, you have the CIA beginning then, you have the NSA at the end of that year beginning then, and you have Aleister Crowley dying on that year. And I think this all has something to do with a ritual that was done, which is connected to Hubbard and Scientology and Jack Parsons. I don't know if anyone knows who Jack Parsons is. Jack Parsons was a genius rocket scientist who was working in Southern California at JPL Laboratories, which is known as Jet Propulsion Laboratories, but in truth it means Jack Parsons Laboratories. What he was trying to do was find out the ultimate weapon to be created. And what he was using fetuses and using nuclear technology and fetuses from baby fetuses at the same time and combining them together. So they essentially wanted to have at the end a combination of ritual, black magic, and technology used at the same time, and that would be the ultimate weapon. And essentially we've got that going on now. So I was saying earlier when Sarah was speaking, any of the outer heads, any of the outer rulers that we're seeing at the moment, any of the prime ministers, any of the aristocracy are only the outer heads. So certainly for the British rulership, if you look at the symbol, you'll see a crown, and very, very often through the crown there'll be a sword, which is the Templars' way of telling you that they rule behind, in the shadows, behind the aristocracy. The Saxe-Coburg-Gotha line, which usurped the British throne, which they called themselves the Windsors, that certainly isn't their name. They're a German family who, Victoria was the first one, came and stole so they're Germans. They've been German for the last 120 years. So Germany really is at the rulership of this country, and they are still today. They've just done it subversively, and they've just done it underneath the radar. And in their mind, what better way to do it is than to disappear and then get everybody in a comfortable position where we think everything's all right, and then hit in the last second, which I think is really what's going on now. They're not able to hide themselves as much as they could do anymore because of the frequency of the planet raising. They can't hide anymore as they used to be able to.